Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening, and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore. Welcome to another night of sharing. We have a special guest calling all the way from Toronto, Canada. I have Laura Beauparlant, founder of Lab Creative. Laura is an award-winning international keynote speaker, an expert on branding and design, and the author of Brand Chemistry. As the founder and creative director of Lab Creative, her mission is to help ambitious entrepreneurs create strong, memorable brands that consistently attract their ideal clients. For over 15 years, Laura has helped countless small business owners and entrepreneurs gain confidence and grow their businesses through unforgettable branding. So, without further ado, please welcome to my platform, Laura Beauparlant. Hello, Laura. How are you this evening?
Hi, I'm excellent. Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure, and I'm excited. We talked obviously a few minutes before we started the show, and there's some goodies and some things you're going to be sharing with my listeners. But of course, before we go down that path, could you just have the listeners talk a little bit more about who you are and obviously where you're from, and and share your story a little bit with them?
Sure. So I'm from a smaller town than Toronto, about an hour outside of that. Originally, it's where I grew up. I went to college for graphic design many years ago. It's been over 20 years since I graduated. After college, I went and lived abroad for 3 years in Europe, which was really foundational, I think, in many ways, in my life and in my career as an entrepreneur, as a designer, as a creator. Living somewhere else, I always think it's really such a great growth opportunity to put yourself out of your comfort zone, like in a foreign country. So after I graduated from college and lived abroad and had some really amazing life experiences we don't have time to get into, I moved back to Toronto and met my husband shortly afterwards at a wedding, which we always kind of joke is probably the reason why I'm still living here. I probably would have fled the country again had we not met. But we've been together for 17 years and married for 15. So no, not going anywhere. So he's also a fellow entrepreneur and a fellow creative. In fact, we're going to a big design gala tonight after I'm finished the podcast. Okay. So I know my night is not over yet. So, we met and, I was actually struggling to get a job, in all honesty, moving back from living overseas. And I started kind of working on some designs of my own, and ultimately started my first business 15 years ago, which was a wedding stationery business. And I don't know if any of your listeners, remember what the wedding invitation world was like in the early 2000s. There was nothing like there is today. It was very old school style, and I really brought a very graphic design forward feel to wedding invitations. There really wasn't any graphic designers designing wedding invitations. Mm-hmm. And so I had that business for about 12 years and then realized that industry was shifting and I was changing. I was doing a lot of branding work for other entrepreneurs, a lot in the events world, and really realized that that's really where my passion was lying. And so about 4 years ago, I rebranded to Lab Creative, developed my own methodology, really started doing a lot more speaking, which is something I'm super passionate about doing and love to do, and have really been developing the business. I wrote the book, I'm speaking on stages. I've really honed in on my process, and I've learned so much along the way in the last 15 years and 2 businesses. So that sort of brings us up to date.
Yeah, that's a lot of great information, and we're going to go back and we're going to dive into that information that you talked about tonight, because you talked about a lot of things that really perked my ears, and I'm sure the listeners, and especially when we think about all the time that we spend going to school and college, and then, you know, you're hoping you get that dream job, and then one day you realize you're not going to get that dream job that you want. Tell me again, what was the school, what was your degree in when you went for?
Graphic design.
Okay, so it was in graphic design, which, and you would think, you know, that wouldn't be so hard to, you know, get employed for, but then you find out you're not. And it's amazing how you hear some of the same stories about, you know, I went to school, you know, I was going to get this and do that, and then realize there's nothing there for me, or either it's oversaturated and that, you know, you can't be looked at as having enough experience. So I think it's amazing that you've taken what you've done and said, you know what, I'm just going to start this on my own. And graphic designing is very beautifully done when you can do it the right way, and that way you can stand out. And obviously, and I, you know, even went back and looked at your website, and everything stands out, and it's just stunning. So
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So talk to me a little bit about what inspires you to design and brand people the way that you do.
Such a good question. And I think ultimately it's people. I love people. I love listening to them. I love digging deep into who they really are. I really have a talent for really going not just below the surface, but like many layers down, and asking people the right questions, and just being able to know when I don't feel like they're going deep enough, or that they're being authentic enough. So to me, it's actually the human connection and the way that we get to know our clients and the time I spend with them, that they each inspire me in the language we help them come up with, the visual brand we create for them. I'm inspired by each and every one of my clients and their journey, their talents, the things that they're amazing at, that, let's be honest, most of us don't spend enough time acknowledging the things that we're really good at. Right. We feel like maybe it's boastful, that people might think you're bragging. We need to spend more time actually congratulating ourselves for the amazing things that we're doing. Even if it's an epic failure, you have to say, but I did it. And this is what I learned from it, so I can this, or I can do that. So I get so much inspiration from each of my clients. I have friends that are entrepreneurs, and my husband, who's an entrepreneur. I get inspiration from so many different places.
Right. And it makes sense. I like that you said is that you actually try to get to know your clients, because, you know, there's a lot of, we all know that there's plenty of other organizations and firms, companies, whatever you want to call them, you know, or other businesses that do what you do. But I think what sets you apart, and I think is the most important part, is that you truly try to get to know who you're working with, so that you can provide them the branding that they need to have to stand out for their businesses.
Exactly.
And that's important, because, you know, so many people are just so willing to just say, you know what, here's what I see, you know, this is going to make you who you are. But then at the end of the day, that's not really who they are. And, you know, they're running with it, you know, they're spending all this time, their money, but they're not really spending the time that they need to have to help them develop into the company that they need to be.
Yeah. And that can sometimes feel like you're pushing a boulder up a hill. Right? If it's not authentic, I've had people say to me, oh my God, isn't it so hard to be on brand and to always be like, and I'm like, no, because it's easy for me. I am my brand. My brand is me. Even though I have a small team, it requires, you know, effort, but it's not effortful. It's not hard, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so it's also not just about us getting to know our clients. What I think is really key in my process is that I allow them to get to know themselves in ways that they didn't realize. So I take people through my brand camp methodology, which is what my book is based on. And now I've actually made a requirement for every client that wants to work with us, because I've seen the confidence and clarity that our clients get out of it. And it arms us with all of the details and the personality of the person or the small business that we're branding, so that we can help them bring it to life visually. So it's kind of two-pronged. it helps our clients gain the confidence and clarity, and it helps us understand them and to be able to bring it to life.
Right. And that makes sense. I like how you're talking about the fact that what people do, I think, and I'm sure you're experiencing, and I know I've done it myself, when you're going in to look for a service, to help you expand in your brand or just getting to know who you are. The key, then we're very focused. It's like, this is what I want. This is what I think I need. But then we really don't sit back and think about, this is all the other things that we've done in order to get us to where we're at and where we're trying to go and continue to move forward. So I like that you're saying that you are really not just looking at the fact of what you can do, but you're really making people open up and say, this is who you really are. Is this the direction that you want to go? Do you want to stand that line, that straight line, and not color outside of it, and you're really opening up people's minds. And I think that's an important part. So talk to me a little bit and tell the listeners, obviously, I want to know more about your book, Brand Chemistry.
Yeah. So I first developed, I'll take you back a couple of years, I developed Brand Camp as a 2-day in-person event where I wanted to help entrepreneurs build the foundation of their brand. And I'm quite unique in my space because most people who do branding in this way don't have any design background. Whereas I come from a design background and I developed my methodology from everything I've learned, as well as what we need as designers to create it. So, I've got a really unique spin on this. Spin's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Right. And so I developed this and I could see that it really worked. Then I turned that into an online course. Then I said, you know what, I need to be able to get this into more people's hands because I could see it proven. I have so many clients who've gone through it, businesses are thriving, who are, their revenue is growing by 30%. Their social media following is growing. They're visible. They're embracing their business. They're not afraid to stand out. And so I thought the best way to do that is to write a book so that there's just a broader audience I can reach. And as a speaker, having a book really allows me to get on more stages so I can share my message. I want to make branding and design more accessible to small businesses and entrepreneurs. They don't have to go to agencies. They can, we provide them everything we need. And I provide brand coaching. So the book is really entire methodology in a book form. Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's a great starting place, but I also don't believe that we can do this work on our own, kind of in a silo. So I, in fact, did not create my own branding for Lab Creative because I knew I was too close to my own business and I knew I needed to do what I preach. Mm-hmm. So I hired somebody to help ask me the questions and push me and help me just give perspective so that because I knew that I probably wouldn't go deep enough and I didn't want to, nor did I feel like I could design my own brand. I needed somebody to take my vision and turn that into reality. So the book is really, it's not actually about design at all. In fact, on the back of it, it says, think first, design later. Because I really want people to understand that even though I'm a designer first, I believe that you have to do the deep work in order to create an authentic, aligned brand, both for you and those dream clients that you want to work with.
Right. And I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I like the take on it. It's smart that, we as often, I'm definitely number two. And then sometimes we think so deep, but not deep enough. And then if you're doing something like what you're doing and the way you created this book as it not just being, here's something to read per se, it's cool how you did that because I would have never thought that, let me go hire somebody who can ask me the questions so I know how to answer them appropriately to give everybody the right answers or give them the view, not just the high level view, but the deep thinking view of what they would need to go into a business. And that's absolutely genius.
Thank you. And in all of my research, whether it's a branding book or just a business book in general, they all they look the same. They look like a book, black text, pretty simple. And so I like to say that my book is the best looking business book you'll ever see. Mm-hmm. It's full color. It's beautifully designed. Because at the end of the day, I'm a designer.
Exactly.
And while the book is about branding, in order for the book to be on brand, it needed to look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in my voice. I really wanted to make it sound like me. I wanted it to feel like we were having a conversation. And that's been the feedback I've had from people, so that they can almost hear my voice in their head if they've heard me speak before, they know me. And it's just really accessible. And those were, that really made me happy to hear that from people who've read the book.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, and I'll have to get a copy of that, because I like the way that your thinking process, and definitely want to see the inside of it, because as a designer, I'm sure it absolutely looks stunning. Because you're right, because most of us authors, we all understand it as when you're an author, and if you know anything about self-publishing, or you're putting something together like this format of being an author, it can be expensive and can be costly to do anything in color, and most of us are very fearful of having color in their books because of that. And then too, I think it depends on, what their purpose is of what they're trying to write. But I do know most of them will steer away from that because it can be extremely expensive. But, with you having that background of being in design and graphic artist work, that really makes a difference. It definitely makes a difference.
It was somewhere that I couldn't compromise.
Right.
And I knew it would really be a way for the book to stand out.
Yeah.
And that's what I needed to do.
Yep. Exactly. And I like the way you were talking about earlier that, you want to be on more platforms where you can speak, and then the book obviously will reach just as far and further, but then also, being an author, we all know that it shows your expertise. And I found that for whatever reason, saying that I'm an author, that people seem to want to listen more.
Yeah. So, isn't that funny?
Yeah, it is. Even though I'm the same person I was before I had the book.
I know. It was like, wow, you're an author. That really blew me away. I wasn't quite expecting that to the level that I saw it, but I see that it really elevates you. And so, if, for the listeners, if you position yourself as an expert in your space, writing a book, a great book is really beneficial. Getting on stages, sharing your thought leadership, and not being afraid to share your opinion. One thing that I really feel that I do is I allow my clients to be their authentic self and not hide behind what's expected in their industry, what everybody else is doing, the way it's always been done. Well, why? Why can't you do something different that will allow you to stand out from everybody else? So I think allowing people to really step up and have a voice, and then have a brand that backs them up, it really elevates you as an expert in whatever space you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right, and I think that's important. And I guess, one of the questions I have, and I'm finding that this has become kind of common with most people that I talk to who are in business, is that how do you, let me put it this way. Everybody has challenges, but have you had those people who come to you and don't value who you are and respect what you have built in your business and say, look, I don't want to pay this. I'll just get it for free. Have you been through that process?
Oh, sure. I mean, everybody's had those people that won't pay you what you deserve but they're not the right clients for you. And I've been in places where I've taken on clients because I thought, oh man, you know what? We really need the revenue this month. Or, but in my gut, if I listened to my gut all the time when it came to clients, we would probably have had less of them, but they would have all been amazing. Mm-hmm. So for the most part, I would say 99%, sometimes it's maybe down to 95% of our clients are really the people that value what we do. They pay us on time. They are excited by what we can do, and they're willing to pay more for us than somebody else because they just know they have to work with us. So I've gotten to a better place in terms of the image we're projecting, brand, my confidence, the work we do, all of those things come together, meaning we're magnetizing the right clients to us. I absolutely had those people who don't value my opinion, don't value what we do, try to nickel and dime us, don't want to pay what we, and I think that's just the reality. We're always going to run into those people. Hopefully, if you can hone your business to really speak only to the people that you really want to work with, you'll have much less of those people coming your way.
Right, absolutely. And I always like to ask that question because it seems, like I said, to be a number one issue. Because people just truly today, there's the capability of being able to open up a business overnight. There's always those scammers and schemers who say, I can do this for you for this amount of money or blah, 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 blah. And it's easy to get excited about it and say, yes, this is the direction I'm going to go. But at the same token, you get what you pay for. And so that's, the thing that I think, like you said, all of us businesses go through is really, truly, for you're trying to hone in your business and you're understanding who you are, and then trying to get people to really realize that what you are providing to them is valuable. The information that we have is our experiences and our expertise. No matter how we got that expertise, it's in order to share that and to provide those services. It's no, you got to pay for it. It's no different than if you're going to a store or if you're going to, go somewhere else. Whatever the case may be doing, you just don't walk up and say to them, well, I want this today, but I only have money for this. Yeah. We all know the reality is it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah, you're not leaving the store with it. Yeah.
I always like to have that conversation because I believe that there are people who just really need to understand that, we all have our problems, but at the same time, we all have responsibilities, as well as business owners, because other people do depend on us as well. So it's not just about what they need. It's also about what is needed in order to keep a business up and moving and working with those clientele that we need to work with. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that one.
Yeah, can I just follow that up with one thing though, because this is something I think is really key, and I hope the listeners really take this away, is that you can't sell the thing you do, right? You have to sell what your clients get from working with you. You have to sell the experience they will have with you, how you're going to make them feel, right? You can't sell the plane, you have to sell the destination. Absolutely. So the plane is the design work we do and the branding. The destination is the confidence and clarity, the dream clients, the increased revenue. That's what I'm selling. I can't just sell branding and design because then I'm competing with everybody else. And there's a lot of people that'll be cheaper than us. So while we are amazing at what we do and we have beautiful work to show for it, we can't just sit back and expect that that's going to be the only thing that will get us business. It has to be, we have to all be amazing at what we do just to be in business. Right. So we are amazing at what we do and we provide exceptional service. We make our clients feel listened to and supported, like we're on this journey together. And, we laugh and we have a great time. That's what we're selling more than the thing we actually do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. It definitely makes sense because, like you said, we all want to be unique, but it's not just about being the graphic designer. And you're absolutely right about that. That's with all business. Like I said, because it's that same thing I just said earlier that, hey, everybody can open up one overnight. There's always someone out there that says I can be I'm a graphic designer. Well, what does that really mean? So that's the key. And like you said, you're on a journey with these people. You're getting to understand who they are, and you be able to put this all together for them to realize this is where they could be. And that is where you stand out differently. And that's why your name, Lab Creative, really, it means something there. And when I seen that, I was like, wow, that's really interesting, a name for a company. And then when I started researching more about who you were and what you did, it just really all made sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's exactly the right thing to do, when you're working with your clientele. And like I said, you can't be in business for 15 years and not know what you're talking about or not understand who you are in order to provide these services.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I do have a couple other questions before we have to shut it down. But I know this time goes by so fast.
It does. It does.
So, but everybody wants to be in business, and this show is about sharing resources and what it takes to really be successful. So, if you had one piece of advice you would like to share with our listeners, what would that be?
Oh, one piece. I think it's really finding the right people in your life that can guide you, right? That can show you the things that you don't know how to do, because let's be real, we don't know how to do it all. I went to design school. I did not go to business school. So we need people around us, because most entrepreneurs, don't have a business degree. They went to school for something that they love to do, and then they started a business doing it. So find people who can help you do the things that you don't know how to do, or teach you and guide you and support you, and have people in your life that will, be a shoulder to cry on when you're having a bad day, or kick you in the butt when you need a kick in the butt. Not the people that are going to hold you back and push you down and make you play small. And I think we've all got those people. I call them energy vampires. Those people that just, they suck the life out of you, and they make you feel bad for your accomplishments. We need energy angels. We need those people that just fill us up and make us feel proud and excited and like they've got our back. So the only way we can really succeed in business is to have a really supportive community of people around us. You have to do the work, and it's not always easy, but when you've got that support system, it feels like anything's possible.
Absolutely. And you are absolutely 199% correct when it comes to having the proper people. And it takes time. You don't find it overnight. And like you said, you will have your struggles, and it's hard. I think, everybody goes through that process of wondering, and why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through all of this stuff? Right. But there's a purpose, and there's a reason for why we do what we do. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. You need to have those people in your corner, those people who will tell you when you're right and let you know when you're wrong, because there's nothing worse than having just a yes man, a yes woman around.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
So that's not authentic. So you're absolutely right. And that's excellent advice. So you're welcome. So I would like to know, and the listeners I'm sure would love to know, how can we find you, and where can we get your services from?
Sure. So you can visit our website, which is labcreative.ca. And I've got actually a great resource if the listeners would like. You can go to labcreative.ca/guide. And it's my branding guide that's really outlines all of the elements that any small business needs for their business. And if anybody's interested in hopping on a call with me, I'd love to offer your listeners a brand audit. So that you can go to labcreative.ca/brand audit and sign up for a call with me, where I'll actually, share some insights into what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and maybe things that you can do better. And obviously follow us on social media. Lab Creative Inc. is our handle across all platforms. Instagram is my favorite.
Oh, yes. Instagram is definitely, and LinkedIn too.
And LinkedIn, yes. It's funny, they're so different, but Instagram and LinkedIn are the ones that I'm on the most. And you have to find the platforms where your clients are. Absolutely. And those are the places where my clients are. So that's where I enjoy hanging out the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, because one thing I've seen with LinkedIn, we all have seen all the changes with LinkedIn, where they originally start out just being strictly for like your resume, applying for jobs, that type of, and now it has definitely expanded into the world of business owners. So absolutely. Yeah, a good place to link up with you at. Yes. So yes, but I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. For those who are listening, if you have not listened well enough, or you missed this live show, you can absolutely go back and listen to the replay on many, many, many platforms. iHeartRadio and Spotify are my two favorite, but we are on 8 or 7 other new platforms. So there's no reason why you cannot listen to this amazing show we just had this evening with Miss Laura Beauparlant, and who is from Toronto, Canada. She is the founder and owner of Lab, and she just poured out some amazing jewels tonight. So if you missed out, please go back and listen. Laura, I really appreciate you coming on the show with me this evening. Do you have any last words for the listeners?
Well, just thank you so much for having me. I feel like we could have talked for another half an hour.
Exactly.
So I so appreciate you. And if you have a small business, just know that there is an amazing community of people out there just waiting to support you.
That's right. All right. Again, thank you so much for being on the show. For everyone else, oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. And like I said, I was really excited about having you on tonight. So, but for everyone else, we'll be here again. Thank you for listening. We'll be here every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. And like I said, you can follow us radio on Spotify. You can also find the show on any of the major social media platforms, of course, which is Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, Instagram. But until next time, we'll see you next week. Thank you and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.